No, this is not a Hollywood blockbuster. The planes crashing into these towers are real. And these buildings crashed to the ground, including one that wasn't hit by anything at all. The American population was terrorized, hypnotized, and traumatized by repetitive showings of the devastation, with the media repeating over and over that it was a terrorist attack.
Race don't matter, your faith don't matter, the enemy is government tyranny, all that other shit don't matter.
What's good, everyone? This will be part 2 of I don't know how many series, but there's 202 pages to this whole thing, so let's continue. Where we left off, this will be chapter 3, Saturn-Moon Matrix, your reality is being hacked. So far it's been pretty interesting. You know, it's religion, but I take a lot into consideration about what Satan symbolizes, the tip of the pyramid when he's in his throne in the clouds. Most likely, right? But yeah, these stories are pretty crazy, man. About it's a different swing to how probably other people have read this, but I haven't. And I've kind of heard of this concept or theory, but I haven't read it. So to me, reading it is even better than hearing someone try to tell me it, you know? So let's move on. It says, if you have if you have preconceived idea of the world, you edit information. When it leads you down a certain road, you don't challenge your own beliefs. David Icke, and that's factual. A lot of religious people will not challenge their own belief systems, and I think, you know, they have a lot of excuses, and I'm not putting no one down, please. I have a lot of Christian friends. I lost a lot of friends over my research and being open-minded. I'm not downing no one. I'm just saying, question your belief systems. If we weren't able to question things, then why are we doing so? Move on. Icke's claims about the Saturn-Moon Matrix dovetail precisely within my experience, both personally and as an astrologer, of how the 29.5-day cycle of the moon keeps us hormonally tied to tiny repeating cycles, and the 29.5-year cycle of Saturn locks us into societal structures beyond which we cannot see. Until we attune to larger orders being within the outer planet cycles of Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, and beyond. But to do this is to leap off the cliff of mind-controlled rationality into the mysterious living universe and Kralkamp. Sorry, Ann, but I tortured your name. Well, I personally don't think the universe goes out light years. That's just me, and everyone has their own views. None of us have been up there. We're just going on hearsay and CGI edited videos. So that's not really much to go off to when you're standing on the ground looking up and putting trust in people putting out. When you catch them lying, I guess some people don't want to accept the facts that there's alleged lies, right? Alleged. And it's all theory, man. Like this stuff. But, you know, some theories are interesting. So let's move on, man. To me, there's truth in every theory, if that makes any sense. A theory can be built off one truth. They could twist it and whatever. It says the questions are, is Saturn transmitting a frequency to Earth, creating a matrix of illusions? That's interesting. That is a good question. Is it Saturn or what is it? Is it Polaris? Is it from where the magnetic north is pointing? Is that the entrance and exit out of this so-called simulation? It's a good question. Is the moon part of this? Can we do anything about it? And who's really controlling things on the planet Earth and beyond? Saturn, Lord of the Rings. The Reptilian Alliance, modus operandi, is the first trigger cataclysmic events on a target world or solar system and wipe away the society that was there before. Then reptilians genetically engineer a new species that is designed to be tuned into their false reality, their matrix. And the planet is hijacked along with the perception of people. They have done exactly this to Earth and humanity, and their means of doing so are Saturn and the moon. Saturn, the Lord of the Rings, is the master control center. Saturn is a ginormous broadcasting system. Saturn does kind of look like those things you put on your roof. You see, can't think right now, man. Not the satellites. You know the things you put on. Yeah, they are called satellites, or they're called you put them on your roof, something like that. Satellite discs. There we go. Okay, and it says it's Saturn, the ginormous broadcasting system, and they will eventually find that the rings are full of crystals rather than ice, a type of crystal that we aren't familiar with on Earth. See, I don't know. I'll give my opinions at the end of all this. The rings are not natural, and at one time Saturn was a conventional brown dwarf. It had no rings. They have been constructed by the technology-obsessed Reptilian Alliance. Funnily enough, as I think about it, an insider once told me of a photograph he had seen of an incredibly large spacecraft that appeared to be repairing one of Saturn's rings. Come on now. Really? A picture? The process is ongoing, and they are continuing to construct others. In 2009, NASA announced that its Spitzer Space Telescope had discovered another ring circling Saturn from a distance of some 3.7 million miles and going out to 7.4 million. So I just want to add this real fast. Since when does our perspective allow us to see 7.4 million miles? I don't care how big something is, because the farther it gets, the smaller it gets. Let's move on. It is so big that it would take 1 billion Earths to fill it. Really. Some scientists say that Saturn's rings are created by the debris from a disintegrated moon. But how would that create a ring 3.7 million miles away from Saturn that could hold 1 billion Earths? Saturn's broadcasting system extends throughout the solar system, but most of it is not visible frequencies. Well, I see frequencies in the clouds when you're using HAARP. But, yeah, hey, maybe those stars are sending frequencies down, which I think so, but I don't think these miles are right. I think they're way off, and the stars are much closer than they're saying, and yeah. So let's move on. Saturn is the Lord of the Rings. Saturn is also the controller of time, and it's Kronos. And how did J.R.R. Tolkien and film director Peter Jackson symbolize the controlling force in the book and film of that name as a fiery reptilian eye, the Eye of Sauron? Now, on a side like that, that looks like a speaker. Now, I'm going to take a picture of my speaker I got that I took out of a woofer from an old TV, because that was a Kenwood speaker, and those are good. And I found a picture of the North Pole that has like a teacup, and it reminded me of a speaker giving off vibration, like the magnetic north might be recycling and giving off a vibration. I don't know. I haven't been there, but it's my theory. Saturn is the second biggest planet in the solar system after Jupiter, and the sixth planet from the sun, or from Earth. Its rings and moons make it unique. Saturn is called a gas giant. Wow. Okay. Explain to me how a gas giant gives off vibrations, please, somebody. As with Jupiter, Uranus, and Neptune, but it is habitable by very different material center, and as with everything, it exists on other ranges of frequency. Okay. Mainstream science says that Saturn radiates 2.5 times more energy than it receives from the sun, and it generates an inexplicable, constantly spinning six-sided hexagonal wave pattern at its north pole, which rotates in sync with Saturn's recorded radio emissions. A massive, constantly spinning storm system captured at the South Pole also looks like an eye. Jupiter and Neptune also generate more heat than they receive. Saturn takes more than 29 Earth years to complete a journey around the Sun. The planet Dark Sun has been known about since prehistoric times, because it can be seen from Earth. But it was only after the development of strong enough telescopes that the rings were able to be seen. Babylonian astronomers recorded the movements of Saturn, and it was worshipped by the Romans as the god Saturn, the Greek Cronus or Kronos. There is no coincidence whatsoever in Saturn having so many moons. More than 60 have been discovered so far. Maybe that's the Saturn worshippers get that saying, many, many moons ahead. No, I'm joking. They comprise, with the Saturn dwarf, a mini solar system, and the same with Jupiter and its at least 63 moons. Most of Saturn's moons derive their names from God Saturn's brothers and sisters, and the Titans of the Titanesses. Small Saturnian moons discovered more recently have been named after Inuit, Gaelic, and Norse gods and goddesses, sorry. None of this is by chance, and all are different names for the same deities in different cultures. Saturn's biggest moon, Titan, is the second largest in the solar system behind the Jupiter moon, Ganymede, or Ganymede, something like that, and is twice as big as our own moons. Titan, Ganymede, and Ganymede, I don't even know, who cares. Behind the Jupiter moon, of course, that name again. Oh no, and Titan and Ganymede and other major Jupiter moons like Io, Europa, the European Union goddess, and Callisto, like Callisto, are really planets, though they are known as moons. Titan and Ganymede, someone correct me on that, man. I'm pronouncing that. I don't know how you can do that, but I'm going to look it up and see how it's pronounced correctly. And others also play a very active role in the Saturn-Moon matrix. And I am sure we will see the role of Jupiter in all this eventually. So whenever this is written, we have, because didn't Saturn and Jupiter just like pass each other like the sun and the moon eclipse? Didn't Jupiter and Saturn just eclipse a little while ago? Even mainstream scientists have suggested that some form of life could exist on Titan and other Saturn moon. And Enceladus, Saturn is communicating with the major moon planets and many not so major ones in our solar system. I suggest that Earth to Moon was once in that group around Saturn. I never heard of that. And at least many of them are the same in nature. They are computer systems, amplifiers, and satellites of the Saturn broadcasting grid. And they go out as necessary to target other worlds. Saturn is not their only hijacked and converted brown dwarf either. They are experts at this. Yeah, okay. Saturn, the all-seeing eye. I knew it. Saturn was often symbolized as an eye by the ancients. So wait a minute. Saturn is Satan. Satan took his throne in the clouds, this is saying, which is at the tip of a pyramid scheme, if you think about it. Just like the Creator, and only in the Bible, has a pyramid scheme in heaven, right? So, only in these books let me rephrase that again, sorry. Just like in real life, there's pyramid schemes. It's in these books, but I don't know. I have a hard time. Something's ruling this world, man, and it don't seem like regular people. But like I said, man, they'll be held accountable regardless. But let's move on, man. I don't think sky daddies are going to come down and save us. We have the ability to do that on our own, man. And that's where I stand. But let's move on with this interesting theories. Saturn, the all-seeing eye. Saturn was often symbolized as an eye by the ancients. And that is a likely origin of the all-seeing eye. One of the major symbols of the reptilian hybrid bloodline network. I went to the subway station right next to Ground Zero when I spoke in New York in 2010. The station has mosaic eyes on the wall all along the platforms, and a large depiction on the floor of an eye broadcasting frequencies across the planet. Wow, that is, I looked at it as our third eye with the crown chakra too, but that's another way to look at it. As our chakras are like frequencies, or are frequencies actually. Electromagnetic. But let me keep reading, man. Stop talking in between. Sorry, everybody. The eye is almost certainly meant to be Saturn, Satan. The image perfectly portrays what Saturn is doing. Saturn hacks into the waveform information broadcast from the center of the galaxy. To me, that would be Polaris, man, via the sun and broadcasting a fake reality into the solar system. The moon amplifies this and beams it specifically to Earth. The fantastic synchronicities between Earth, the moon, and the sun in size, geometry, and position are all made possible by the moon. But what about perception? And these synchronicities are connected to how the sun's information is hijacked by Saturn and the moon. The moon is where it is because it was specifically placed there. Visible light and electromagnetic spectrum that science can record is the matrix, the false reality. And God said, "Let there be light." The speed of light, which we are told is the fastest speed possible, rubbish, is the vibrational wall of the matrix. We are not even living on the earth as it really is. Some of it is original, but there are many holographic implants that change it for our perception. The matrix broadcasts block humans from perceiving what we otherwise would be experiencing. The earth that we can see or feel too often is a place of love and harmony, not war, fear, and suffering. I agree with that. The predators dictate our lives and make us into slaves to them by hijacking our sense and reality. The Saturn-Moon matrix transformed a once vibrant, conscious humanity into computer programs decoding cycles of repetitive perception and behavior. The transmissions of the programs decoding cycles of repetitive perception and behavior. The transmissions of the Saturn-Moon matrix are received and retransmitted by Earth's crystal core, which has been tuned to the matrix frequency range, and the hack connects with us through the reptilian brain and the receiver transmitter system that we call DNA. This brings us back to junk, DNA, and what Professor Sam Chang from the Human Genome Project said earlier, that the overwhelming majority of human DNA is off-world origin and the extraterrestrial junk genes. Merely enjoy the ride with hard-working, active genes passed through the generations, he said. What we see in our DNA is a program consisting of two versions, a big code and a basic code. First fact is, the complete program was positively not written on Earth. That is now a verified fact. The second fact is that genes by themselves are not enough to explain evolution. There must be something more in the game. Sooner or later, we have to come with grips with the unbelievable notion that every life on Earth carries genetic code for his extraterrestrial cousin, and that evolution is not what we think it is. Our hypothesis is that a higher extraterrestrial life form was engaged in creating new life and planting it on various planets or wandering stars. Earth is just one of them. Perhaps after programming, our creators grow us the same way we grow bacteria and petri dishes. We can't know their motives, whether it was a scientific experiment or a way of preparing new planets for colonization, or the long-time ongoing business of seeding life in the universe. Now, this could be true in some ways, maybe, but I think there's land they're hiding from us, and I'm not going to get into that. I'm just going to stick with this topic today, right here, the Archons. But People know what I'm talking about. That know what I'm talking about. Professor Chang also said that the alien parts of junk DNA have their own veins, arteries, and immune systems that vigorously resist all our anti-cancer drugs. The DNA implanted by the extraterrestrials is pre-programmed, and one effect of the Saturn-Moon matrix is to activate those programs to play out as spontaneous human behavior and a sequence of time. The matrix acts like a laser reading computer software or a DVD. It brings the pre-programmed information in human DNA onto the screen. Our decoded reality, the software program, is running in every human mind, body, computer, and it has been encoded for eons. Remember how Rebecca Kinn, assistant professor of genetics at the University of Hawaii, co-authored a study in the journal Nature, saying that all modern humans are descended from a single mother who lived in Africa in about 200,000 BC? If what we call humans originate from a single source, the program could easily have been implanted that would infiltrate every subsequent member of the species software. Only by becoming conscious beyond mind, body can, by becoming conscious beyond oh my God, I'm sorry. Only by becoming conscious beyond mind, body, can we override the program. It has become so clear to me while writing this book that the extent of human behavior programming is absolutely fundamental. I understand from people who read papers by molecular biologist Francis Crick that he believed that DNA was pre-programmed. Crick appears to have known far more about DNA than was public, and he believed that it was made of extraterrestrial origin. So the matrix illusion is so deep, so ingrained, because it is not only a matrix field, but a DNA program. The Queen Bee, Saturn-Moon, broadcast a waveform information hack, and humans decode this into a world they think they see, and perceptions and behaviors they think is them. We could be completely controlled by this matrix and be no more than human robots responding to data input. Or we can open our hearts and minds and see beyond what others can see. This means opening our minds to consciousness, which is not subject to manipulation of the matrix for the DNA program. It operates outside of space and time and beyond the vibrational walls of the matrix. If you look at all the incredible and endless interconnected manipulations that I will describe in this book, and there are so many more, this clearly could not have been organized by people sitting around a table deciding their next move. How do they do it? Was there a computer system spewing out data on what to do and when? But I can see it clearly now. Those in authority who run and enforce the human control system are following a program in the same way as worker ants and bees follow the program broadcast by the Queen. Interesting. They are computer terminals on the Matrix Internet with the Saturn-Moon matrix triggering their already programmed DNA to respond according to the program. The bloodlines, Illuminati, Dark Cabal, those appointed to positions of power, are the most locked in because they were genetically created for that purpose. But anyone who is not truly conscious, most of humanity, will be responding to their DNA Saturn-Moon matrix program, which drives their thoughts, perceptions, and behavior. How how your reality is being manipulated. The Saturn-Moon matrix is decoded within the electromagnetic frequency range, visible to human sight and technology, and the genetic engineering of the human mind-body computer locked humans into that frequency via DNA and the reptilian brain. Consciousness can, however, override that, and so they have to maintain humanity in low vibrational states to imprison their perception in the matrix. The plasma field within our holographic reality acts like a plasma screen. Man, that's crazy, because when I take pictures of the sky, I said that before, on which we watch the picture show or appear to. It is an expression, like everything, of decoded waveform information. People go through their lives following the Saturn program. They are decoding while thinking, is this the real world? Humans are like two-legged farm animals caught in the headlights of an oncoming matrix. That's messed up. The reality we are being fed is encoded with perceptions and experiences that cause people to transmit low vibrational emotional energy that both feed the reptilian alliance and in many ways helps to power the system. The virtual reality game is interactive, and so it is the hacked version. We receive and transmit. We receive and post. The Saturn-Moon matrix has created an energetic perception loop in which the false reality is fed to us, and when we perceive it and believe it, we feed back that perception to the matrix. This consistently empowers the false reality in a feedback loop. In short, the matrix is powered by our belief in that the hacked reality is real. We can and will break the closed loop with the realizations that I am describing in this book, and by opening our minds to consciousness beyond the matrix frequencies. The power of Saturn-Moon matrix to influence our reality dilutes and dilutes the more we open our minds and hearts and let consciousness in. The control system is terrified of the truth vibrations for this reason, and this is why it is now throwing everything that it can at humanity to keep us entrapped within the vibrational box through fear, chaos, and upheaval. By the way, some unexplainable and paranormal experiences happen when there is a glitch in the matrix information field. As I write, there are many reports from around the world that the heavens have changed, the constellations are not where they should be, and the moon has changed its angle. This is the result of the reptilians manipulating the matrix to confuse us and prepare us for the fake end of the world, or New World, prophecies by the Bible, the Mayan calendar, Hopi prophecies, and all the rest. They are not true. They are part of the manipulation and the reptilians' plan to make it seem as if they are happening by manufacturing events. They are already doing so. It was all planned a long time ago. I agree with that ending part. Reptilian brain, reptilian world. One of the chief ways the matrix connects with us, not surprisingly, is through the reptilian brain, and this helps to lock us into the reptilian alliance control system. The matrix transmissions are also aimed at our DNA receiver transmitter systems, and much of this is happening within the realms of what science calls junk DNA. Some of this has been switched off in order narrow our band of experience reality, and some is picking up the matrix frequencies by carryaways from Saturn via the moon. The Saturn-Moon matrix is how they have done it. Humans turn most powerfully to the matrix transmission, the overwhelming majority, are like worker ants following the work plan broadcast by the queen. Ants are said to communicate through chemicals called pheromones, but they are only the chemical expression of vibrational communications. Ants tune in through their antennas, and we pick up the matrix broadcast through DNA and reptilian brain. The reptilians have a hive mind communication system, which the matrix connects with. And it would appear that at the center of this, there is a version of the female queen. Maybe the worship of the goddess is something to do with this. And certainly the hybrid bloodline is passed on through the mitochondrial or female DNA. The Illuminati reptilian hybrid bloodlines are the agents of the matrix within the matrix. The agent Smiths, if you like, portrayed in the Matrix movie series. The Matrix mind is the controlling force behind all the institutions of human control and those who run and administer them, while being unknowing prisoners of the Matrix themselves. I explained earlier how the reptilian brain doesn't think, it reacts. It is constantly scanning the environment in search of threats to its survival physically, financially, and across the great spectrum of human experience. Reputation, job, relationship, the list goes on and on. They need to feed us an endless stream of reasons to fear not surviving, to connect us more powerfully into reptilian brain reality, therefore matrix reality. These emotional states affect the way DNA receives and transmits, and cause heart rhythm incoherence and scrambles the relationship between heart, brain, and nervous system. This is another crucial reason why we are bombarded with wars, financial collapses, false flag terrorist attacks, health scares, global warming, engineered natural disasters, and all manner of other things. The theory is, wink. This way, they can most powerfully plug us into the matrix and energize it through the feedback loop to get better understanding of how our reality can be manipulated. Watch the movie directed by John Carpenter, They Live. Excuse me, I need to get something to drink. So the moon is a satellite that was constructed. It was anchored outside Earth's atmosphere for eons as a meditating and monitoring device, a supercomputer or eye in the sky. Earth must be owned by those who dwell here. Earth must be owned by those who dwell here. There. However, it is not. You have outside gods, creator energies, who prevent you, as a species, from having free reign with your kundalini. The influence of the moon as a main satellite computer affects all of the Earth. The moon's programs have, for eons, been a great limitation toward human beings. These are repetitive cycles that the moon creates, to which you respond. Moons like ours can also be used to influence planets or wandering stars in a very loving and positive way, and it is possible that the moon was doing that before it was hijacked by the Reptilian Alliance to be a means of mass manipulation and control. Barbara Marcinak's channeling points this way, and I am open to that. We need to be flexible about detail and let information be our guide, not undefined dogma. In that case, removing the Reptilian Alliance from the moon and changing what it broadcasts would have a life-changing effect on this planet and its inhabitants. Simply switching off the reptilian broadcast would change everything. 2. Sounds like the Tower of Babel. Barbara's channeling for her book indicates that other non-human forces are in the process of intervening in the reptilian control of the moon, and I have come across similar information. I understand all these years that this intervention is significantly advanced. I would strongly emphasize that we are not alone in meeting the challenges that we face. The bloodlines just want us to think we are. There is a multi-dimensional effort going on to set the planet free from aeons of reptilian grade control, and this will succeed. We need to play our part in our level of reality while others do their job elsewhere. This dismantling of reptilian control is not only to help humanity. What is happening here is having a knock-on effect across a wide area of the galaxy and beyond because of how a smaller part of a hologram can affect the whole. Barbara Marinak's channeling for Earth said, "There have been many battles over the moon. There is a plan to gradually insert different programs of influence on Earth when the moon becomes occupied by forces that would assist in your growth rather than limit you. The moon programs have for eons been a great limitation towards human beings. The tale about the full moon and insanity, madness, and heightened bleeding are all true. There are repetitive cycles that the moon creates to which you respond. It is the extraterrestrials that really operate in all. Your technology, though rapidly advancing, cannot begin to compare with the biotechnology, including genetic engineering of sentient space travelers. You are newcomers to the game, and you miss a vital key for your senses and the essence of your physical world, structure reality in a particular way. You constantly translate data and, like interpreting a dream, condense the experience into physical boundaries where you find you can explain less and less. Bashar, the extraterrestrial entity that is channeled by Daryl Anka, also said, this is crazy, his last name is like Anka, also said, we are leaving an age of limitation and entering an age of limitlessness. Damn. Whew. Some gas. This is what I have been stressing all these years and throughout the book. We are being manipulated to decode reality that keeps us limited and enslaved. I came across this quote too at about the same time from the famous Armenian-born mystic George Gurdjieff. I probably slayed his name, but he said in 1916, all movements, actions, and manifestations of people, animals, and plants depend upon the moon, and we are controlled by the moon. The mechanical part of our lives depend upon the moon, is subject to the moon. If we develop in ourselves consciousness and will, and subject our mechanical self and all our mechanical manifestations to them, we shall escape the power of the moon. So this sounds like moon worship, like some almost like sun worship. The Saturn-Moon matrix operates within the frequency range of the mind. Hold on. All right. The electromagnetic spectrum and low vibration emotion. When we open our minds to consciousness or perception expands beyond the influence of the matrix frequencies, we can suddenly perceive what we were blocked from perceiving, and we begin to see what is really going on. I was shown an article on the day I am writing this that told the story of something called the Cheney Project, or Cheney Project. This was claimed to involve a secret technology located in Africa, which made contact in 1994 with an entity from a parallel universe. And the communications continued for the following 5 years. The article said that the entity was asked more than 20,000 questions. Cheney, or Chani, whatever that name is an acronym for Channeled Holographic Access Network Interface. Okay. The entity was asked in one interaction what was the purpose of our moon. It said that life became better with no moon and was not a natural heavenly body. The moon was there to control the earth, mood. It is quoted as saying, "A big calm would come over the people without the moon, and there would be no big storm, just a little storm. There would be peace among the people without the moon." Funny how this no moon world is exactly how I am describing the real golden age before the hack. The communications alluded to the fact that an old race captured the moon from space and put it next to the earth. This is what Zulu legends say. And what my own work supports. The Chinese communications indicated that moon forces operated like a time machine to control time and manipulate the mood of being on this planet in this timeline. The most ancient human accounts do not mention time. It is an illusion of the matrix, and time was encoded to enslave minds by disconnecting us from the now. I can see very clearly as my understanding expands that the time loop is the matrix. The time loop is what has been hacked into the limitless now reality that we should be experiencing. Saturn is associated with time, and Chronos, the nickname of the Greek Saturn god, means time. He is the symbol for Father Time. The two clocks on either side of the main entrance to St. Peter's Basilica in Rome are symbols of the Saturn moon control of our perception of time, and so is the clock face in general. Yeah, that's the loop. Interestingly, the Chani entity also talked about the reptile holding humans back so they could not grow, and how they had won a war with the reptiles in its own reality. We kill many dragons and many timelines, the communication said. The entity is reported to have added that humans had evolved more spiritually than the reptiles that it was talking about. But the scaly guys want to hold onto wise technology. Their God is their technology. I have been saying this in my books for years. They are very developed in their intellectual, technological mind, but they are not spiritually conscious. They have sought to make us the same by giving us their mind. The moon has not always been there, and some ancient legends say the same. They tell of a time before the moon. Ancient Greek authors Aristotle and Plutarch, and Roman authors Apollonius, Apollonius, or is that Apollonius, Radius, crazy names, man, and Ovid, told of a people called Procellus in Arcadia, who said their ancestors had been there before there was a moon in the heavens. Procellene means before Celine. Celine Dion? No, I'm joking. Before Celine. I'm going to look that up. The Greek goddess, there we go. The Greek goddess of the moon. And the name often used for the moon itself. Roman writer Censorinus also wrote a time, eons ago, when there was no moon. Dr. Hans Schindler Bellamy includes the same theme in his work, Moons, Myths, and Men. He tells of the Moses, a native tribe in Colombia, that they say, remember a time before the present moon became the companion of the earth? Some Babylonian depictions of the moon in the 11th century BC located in between Venus and the sun. I know that some people will say that the moon always had to be there, or the earth would be unstable and nothing like it is. But we are not talking about the same planetary alignments we have now. Before the moon came, the solar system was very different to what we see today. Saturn's astrology. The representation of Saturn in astrology fits the bill perfectly. Saturn is the planet, sun, of death, restriction, authority, control, obedience, poverty, fear, and time. It rules the bones of the body, and so you have the skull and bones as a major symbol of the Saturn-controlled Illuminati. The Skull and Bones Society is really the Saturn Society. Saturn is the astrological ruler of institutions, corporations, figures in authority, scientists, and old people. It represents laws, rules, regulations, and tradition, repeating ritual. Saturn is non-emotive and represents limitation, austerity, discipline, and depression. The term Saturine, meaning to have a gloomy, taciturn temperament, has an ancient origin related to the influence of Saturn. What am I describing here? The very world we live in, and even more so. I am describing the way that human society has been constructed, the way societies operate, with all their rules, rituals, and hierarchy, and all the pomp and ritual surroundings the British royal family and their kind. Planet Earth is a Saturnian society, controlled from Saturn via the moon and Illuminati hybrid bloodline. This makes so much sense of what has happened to the world and what is happening. Notice how the traits and influences of Saturnian are the same as the draconian, the reptilian hive mind. The Saturn-Moon matrix reflects the hive mind of the reptilians that control Saturn and the Moon. The reptilian hive mind has hijacked the human mind via the reptilian brain in the Moon matrix. Open your mind and you will see what has been purposely hidden from you. Saturday equals Saturn Day, Sunday equals Sunday, and Monday equals Moon Day. Look at a picture of this guy. He's got the staff with the Saturn symbol, which is a cross. And if you put it upside down, it looks like the sickle. He also has a T on his shirt with a 5-pointed star. It looks like a person standing in it. He's got Saturn, a 5-pointed star, and I don't know them other two symbols. They look familiar though, especially the circle with the dot in the middle. It looks like a person with one eye with antennas. So I'll start this right there on the next one because I'm already pretty far in. And yeah, 55 minutes. These are long. It's going to be a long ride, but it's very interesting, even though I know it's most likely theory, but there's probably some truth in it, always. Peace out. Hope everyone's enjoying part 1 and 2. I will be dropping the rest of these parts, however many there will be. Like I said, it's 202 pages. I hope everyone's enjoying. I know a lot of it isn't true, but it's still interesting, and it is based off some truth. So salute, peace, and hope. I'll see everyone next time. I'm out.